Am I Mental is a live podcast, and as such, we start each episode with a 5-minute instrumental to allow people to join the chat room and not miss the beginning of our actual broadcast. If you are listening to this after it has been aired, feel free to skip ahead to the 5-minute and 30-second mark in order to pick up the episode. Otherwise, if you like instrumentals, enjoy. The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Am I Mental? A live podcast where people share their stories about how life impacts mental health and mental health impacts life. I'm your host and tonight's guest, E, and with us we have Os. With the return of Bexy.
Hi.
And special guest co-host, Ivania.
Sup?
Yeah, so I have people around me that I can really trust in this situation because I am going to be talking about something that is making me rather uncomfortable, but it's something I think is really important to talk about, and that is disassociation. I have been having issues with it for a good chunk of my life, and I was going to have this episode 1 or 2 seasons ago, probably last season, and had a pre-show with Ivania and a few others, people that have all been around when I've had these episodes. And some things were dropped that completely unnerved me, and I've only just recently really gotten over it and been able to sit with it and deal with it enough to talk about it. So, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that there are different types of disassociation. The one that's most famous is the dissociative identity disorder, split personalities. And basically people that have DID have 2 or more separate identities. The identities control the behaviors at various times. They are known as alters, and each alter has its own personal history, traits, likes, and dislikes. So it's usually fairly obvious that someone has this if, say they're like, I hate the taste of shellfish, and then another day they're like, they can't get enough of it. That may be an indicator. That is not what I have. Dissociative amnesia. This is where you can't remember essential information about your life. The forgetting may be limited to specific aspects of your life or may include much of your life history and or identity. And then the one that's the most common that you hear about other than DID is depersonalization or derealization disorder. It's where you feel detached from your own thoughts, feelings, and body, or disconnected from your environment. The first one being depersonalization, the other being derealization. Personally, I'm of the dissociative amnesia, even though I do have a little bit of the depersonalization and derealization. So the depersonalization and derealization is like when I am saying or doing something and I feel myself basically screaming at myself to stop, and yet I keep doing it. That is a form of disassociation from my understanding. And I get that sometimes, but the one that really bothers me is I get what's called localized dissociative amnesia. It's where you can't remember an event or a period of your life, which is the most common form. There's also selective, which is where you can't remember certain details of events within a given time period, or generalized, where you can't remember anything about your identity and life history, which is the rarest. For me, usually when I'm super stressed is when I'm most likely to experience it. And the sad thing is, I have periods of my life, could be a 10-minute window, as I learned it could be as quick as 30 seconds. It could be an entire day or a couple days where I have absolutely zero recollection of anything that happened. Of the 3 people that are on this episode with me, Ivania, I think, is the one that has witnessed it firsthand. I don't know if Os or Bexy has seen it, but I know Ivania has. Yeah, Ivania's sitting there nodding. I mean, the way I it works for me is that my personality traits do shift, but from what I could tell talking to people, it's a subtle shift. Where if you're not really tuned into who I am normally when I'm in full control, you may miss when I'm having an episode. I'll argue points that I normally, for points that I'm usually against, or against points I'm usually for. And which kind of sucks because I do like playing devil's advocate for debates, so that makes it harder to spot when I'm actually being serious like that. In the case with Ivania, I'm going to go deliberately a little fuzzy on the details. Apparently, I was on a webcam session, and let's just say I did something a little lewd, which is pretty out of character for me. What would you say, Ivania? Good description of that?
I think for the sake of vagueness, that is very accurate. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to go into the details, but yeah. I've had entire blow-up arguments with, not my ex-wife. We've been divorced for years, so I'm not talking about my current wife. Where I don't remember any details of the argument. I don't even remember having the argument. And what really scares me the most about all of this, the part that really, really gets to me, is that I feel like I've been hijacked by someone other than me, doing and saying things that are out of character for me, yet I'm the one that has to pay the consequences for it. And I don't know if anyone...
Sounds pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of funny is I was talking to someone today, and they were talking about that they would take entire road trips to go to the store and come back, unpack all their stuff, and then later on get ready to go to the store because they don't even remember having gone. The disassociation amnesia, it hit them so hard that it's just like that trip never happened. They go and look at their finances before they go, and they see groceries were already purchased, basically. Like, hey, look, there's already a payment to Safeway from earlier today. But I haven't gone anywhere today. How's that possible? Go look at the cabinets, and holy shit, all my food's here. What happened? At least that one's a helpful disassociation, I mean,
How old were you when you figured out that you might be suffering from this type of thing?
And I was in my early to mid 20s when it was first being pointed out to me, that I could remember it being pointed out. And it may have been going on in my teenage years, and I may have just completely blown it off. But I only really started taking it seriously in my 20s. And, I mean, you talk about hearing something crazy, being told that you're doing things that you never did, and having a group of people swearing upon everything that they can as a group that you absolutely did these things. It's terrifying.
You must feel like everybody's trying to gaslight you.
That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
Well, even if it did happen in your teenage years, it was in your mid-20s that it got really bad because that was the most stressed you've ever been in your life.
Absolutely. That was when my marriage fell apart.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, talk about falling apart. And there was a lot of gaslighting involved in that too to begin with, so it really didn't help very much.
So you can't tell what's gaslighting, what's disassociating. Add another layer of confusion for you.
Exactly. And if people are wondering what kind of illnesses might occur with a disassociation, I mean, some of the symptoms, psychiatric symptoms, are depression, mood swings, suicidal tendencies, sleep disorders, anxiety, alcohol, drug abuse, compulsions and rituals, psychotic-like symptoms, including audio and visual hallucinations, and eating disorders. Well, depression, got that. Mood swings. Got that. Suicidal tendencies. Got that. Sleep disorders like insomnia, night terrors, and sleepwalking. Yes, and yes. Anxiety, panic attacks, and phobias. Anxiety for sure. Panic attacks occasionally, but not really any phobias. Alcohol and drug abuse, to an extent, but not anymore. Compulsions and rituals. Always fighting those off. Auditory and visual hallucinations. I've had those. Eating disorders? No. And then it's also, there's a correlation with bipolar and disassociation, which, yeah, that's fun. Things that could cause it too could be a trauma, like repeated physical, mental, or sexual abuse, an accident, natural disaster, military combat, or being the victim of a crime. My therapist says I'm dealing with a lot of trauma. I just don't know what. I'm still trying to get that all sorted out.
Yeah, and it could be a lot of like small micro traumas that keep taking place over an extended period of time, like complex PTSD. It doesn't need to be one mind-shattering experience, but as it's been described to me by somebody as imagine you have a cup, it can only get so full. You can only put so much into it before it overflows, and there becomes the breaking point.
But I mean, other than the fact that I pretty much live now with a kind of getting traumatized by this whole thing, I live with a near permanent state of fear of losing control and doing something that is out of my character, that I'm not aware that I'm doing, and I'm going to get in a shitload of trouble for it.
So the stress can almost make it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. It's the last thing that I ever want to see is like security footage of me doing something that I have no recollection of doing. It's like people are living now with the fear of deep fakes. Yeah, well, there's no way I can prove it's a deep fake because my physical body probably went through it. Now, I don't know that I'd necessarily do anything criminal, but I do things questionable, moralistically speaking, which again, Yvonne, you can attest to. And I can only say that it's not who I normally am.
Can I stop you?
Yes.
That wasn't entirely unpleasant. So
what was that?
I said your situation with me, I know that you're not proud of it. I know that it mortifies you, but it wasn't entirely unpleasant, if we're being honest.
It only makes me feel marginally better.
That's the nice shade of red there, E.
Busted. I don't blush very often, but when I do, man, I glow.
Indeed.
I have that effect on you, and you needed a laugh.
Yes, I did. I mean, Ivania and I, just our relationship alone has been... It's been something else. It is probably one of the best relationships I've ever had, and it has had some of the worst things happen to it as well at the same time. It's been something. So her being here on this really, it means a lot, and I thank you for that.
I'm a firm believer in struggles build character and strength. It's what we do with the struggles.
Yeah.
That help define the outcomes.
I mean, I can't say that I run from my problems forever. I may run for a little bit to get some distance and perspective, but I always come back to them.
It takes everybody time to process.
Yeah, so this is definitely something I've been wanting to address. It's something I'm working with my therapist. Did some blood work too to make sure that, it's not like there's some funkiness going on hormonally, chemically, whatever that's causing this. Because, I mean, there is always that possibility, too. No, the only thing going on with my blood work is that my cholesterol is too low. Which I was shocked that that's even a possibility. But yeah, there it is. But that's not enough to cause what I'm having.
Yeah. Sounds like a good excuse to have a steak.
Oh, I asked my doctor, because when my doctor mentioned it, I was like, what do I have to do? Just like eat a lot more protein? He's like, well, how much do you eat now? I was like, well, for the last month, my diet's been 50% of my caloric intake's protein. He said, I want you to bump that up to 70%. I was like, what the fuck? You want me to have like bacon wrapped steak with egg wash and a tiny salad and a tiny bread roll just so that way I still get my fiber and my carbs? He's like, actually, that sounds about right. You should do that. Oh my God.
I would dream to have my doctor tell me something like that. That was close to what my diet was when I was powerlifting, and my doctor's like, don't.
My doctor gave me a prescription for red wine.
That's awesome.
Man, I got the wrong doctor here.
I do see that the chat's taking off. I don't really want to read the questions and answer them.
Yeah, Richard just said he has the meats.
Arby's.
He also mentioned that he knows it's serious stuff, but he wishes he could disassociate to the gym and not remember. The gym for me is that's my me time.
Yeah.
I live for that.
My only problem with that is I'd come to at home and be like, why the fuck am I so sore and hungry?
Why do I smell that?
Wow.
And I don't mean my normal bad smell.
Oh.
And Sarah was saying, it almost sounds like DID a little bit because whoever's driving at the moment is doing things out of character. And yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And even my psychologist, even though she's through, because I got her through BetterHelp, so she can't do diagnoses of certain conditions, like because of the medical and the medicinal aspect of it. But she does have the ability, if I were to see her outside of BetterHelp, which I plan on doing. She says that I don't have DID, but I am fairly close to it. The frequency just isn't there for it. Which that's still terrifying to know that I'm at that close. But of course, the other aspect of it is that if it is another personality, that particular one should have all those memories that I don't. And I don't have any way of knowing if that's the case or not.
I was talking to a gal once upon a time who had 17 alters.
I dated someone that had more than 20. They're down to 3.
Yeah.
Would you, given the chance, want to unlock those memories that you don't have?
I have thought a lot about that. I've spent years thinking about that, and my answer is I think I would want to know. I want to know what I've done, where I've been, what I've said. Even if it was out of character, I just want to be able to know those things so at least I'm aware.
They're also about owning your actions.
Yeah.
Like you have a lot of ownership in your life. So if there's something to atone for, you'd want to atone for it. Or if there's something great, I'm sure you'd want to know that as well. But having those blank spots in your memory, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, and it's like, if I could remember them while still being able to know that was when I was disassociated. So it's like, like, for lack of a better way of putting it, like I could file away into the disassociated memories folder. So I was like, okay, I'm aware that I did these things, but I was disassociated at those time. That would be optimal, I think. Because otherwise, if it was like, nope, you weren't no way to tell if you were disassociated or not. No, then I wouldn't want those memories. I'd rather just not have them if I can't distinguish between what's what.
So, on a more positive note, Has anybody told you about something epic that you've done while disassociating? Has it all been angsty, dark?
It's all been bad.
It's all been bad.
Yeah, and when I say bad, I don't mean like some of the worst stuff that has happened. I don't know why, Vanya, but it has to be that's centered around you and then my ex-wife. I know. But
Comfort.
you got the best
The
memories out of it. But I've had
So,
very mundane ones, but they're still they cause frustration around those around me. For example, really good friend of mine, Dave, and I didn't reach out. Dang it, I didn't see him on this thing. I'm gonna have to let him know that I'm on right now. Anyway, we sat next to each other, like we shared a cubicle when we worked at this hospital automation company. I was tier 2, he was tier 1. I was training him, and that's how they did it. Is they sat one or two tier 1s with a tier 2, so that tier 2 could train them up. And at the time, I was working at a capacity for the next level above. There wasn't a tier 3. It was what was called product support engineering, where I went to meetings with the different engineers from the different departments. You know, hardware, software, development, Q&A, and blah, blah, blah. And we talked about the future of the product. Well, I had one case that was sitting in my queue for a while that needed what was called a database rebuild. I'm not going to go into details. Just know that it's a potentially time-consuming thing. You really have to babysit it. Once you start it, you're basically sitting there twiddling your thumbs, but you can't leave in case something goes bad. It goes wrong, because if it goes wrong, it could cost a hospital millions. So you have to be there. But I was overwhelmed with other things. He got a call for one of the cases in my queue. That's all that was needed. And he was learning how to do it. He was fairly confident in it, but he always wanted to double check to make sure things were done right, because if you do it wrong, it's just as bad, if not worse. And he talked to me to verify everything. I was like, yeah, that's all that needs to be done is that rebuild. Hey, looks good. Go ahead and run it. He went through just to double check everything just for his own, his CYA. Then he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this now to me. And apparently, I turned to him and said, oh, don't worry about it. I have already gotten it done. And turned back to continue working on what I was working on. I remember him turning his chair towards me, grabbing and spinning my chair around to face him, and all I could think of was, what the fuck is going on? And he was like, are you kidding me right now? And I'm like, what? He's like, this site we just talked about. You told me that this database rebuild needed to be done, and then you just told me that you'd already taken care of it. And I was like, no, I never said that. It needs to be done. Like, I remember coaching him up on it, and I remember him turning me around. I don't remember turning to him and telling him, don't worry about it, I've already taken care of it. That's his recollection, not mine. So I had out and in that fast. And this was during the peak of my marriage falling apart. This was when I would go and dry heave in the bathroom because of my marriage falling apart.
So it doesn't even sound like there was an immediate trigger for that blank, that blip.
No, none. It just happened. All I thought is he was going to kill me, and I didn't even know why. Like, I still very vividly remember him whipping me around and very vividly being like, no, dude, that needs to get done. I remember it got done because of him. And I remember that was really weird, and I thought that he was fucking with me, but I couldn't be sure because he was very angry.
Were you really in your own head back then? Like, your marriage is falling apart, you're at work, but you're still constantly thinking about the marriage that's falling apart. Like, so you may not have an external trigger, but your own thought processes may lead to that.
Ivania, what do you say to that? You saw me firsthand through that whole thing.
So when E's marriage was falling apart, it was, like I said earlier, the worst time of his life. We'd been friends for a couple of years at that point. I was actually friends with his ex-wife too. I was kind of like trying to mediate in the middle, and what she was telling me was not what he was telling me. There was this serious lack of communication going on. He wanted this, she wanted that. His mindset was, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure it gets done. So I'm thinking that situation, there was something that had to be done. You were probably thinking about your marriage. He asked you, hey, because, like your ex was, I'm not going to say gaslighty because I wasn't in your marriage. I can't say that. But she would be like, hey, E, will you do this? And you didn't do it fast enough. So she'd do it herself. Then you'd feel guilty, blah, blah, blah. So just shooting from the hip here, you may have been, something like that may have been in your head. And then Dave turned and looked at you and said, I'm going to do this. And you're like, don't worry about it. I got it done.
Yep, that sounds very much in line with what I was thinking too, and with my own experience. As I was working on a case, but I had always found my mind drifting to my marriage. It was very hard for me to stay focused on anything. My commute to and from work, thank God I had driven that for a couple of years before shit hit the fan with my marriage. So that way the drive was just automatic. Because if it wasn't, like if we had moved, I'd probably end up at the old place and be like, how the fuck did I get here?
That's another form of disassociation, by the way.
Yeah.
When you leave work and all of a sudden you're at home and you're like, how the hell did I get here? Yeah, that's another form of that.
Yeah. And to answer, and Sarah asked, is the difference that I still answered to E in those moments? Yeah, I still answer to my name.
Yeah, I actually clarified with her in text. And she wanted to know the difference between somebody with alters and when you disassociate. Is there a similarity there where when somebody has alters, they may
have different names.
They may have different names. They can adopt accents,
writing styles.
Go from right-handed to left-handed. Those are severe cases. The lighter cases where they have alters, it's more like you have multiple best friends in your head giving you really, really strong advice. So it's not like you get taken over. It's different than schizophrenia. And in extreme circumstances, those alters will switch with you. But yeah, the question was around, do you always answer to E? Yeah. Some version of you is always present. They're just not all of you is necessarily always present.
Right. It's, from my understanding, I still respond to my name. From my understanding. Because no one's ever said that I answer to a different name or I ignored it any more than I normally would ignore something. Because, yeah, there are times I get in my head and I just ignore things because I'm so wrapped up I don't hear. And it takes a few times to break through for me to be like, oh, wait, what? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's funny how you can hear somebody say you're in a crowded room. Somebody on the other side of the room can say your name at normal conversation, at a normal conversational volume, and people can subconsciously pick that up and be drawn to it.
Yep.
So it sounds like, E is always E.
Yeah.
In my experiences, it's always been you. It's just a different version of you. Something that's buried down deep. Someone that's buried down deep. Just kind of pops up, say hi, but it's always you.
Inhibitions.
Your speech is the same. Your texting is always the same. It's just a small piece of your personality is coming up to light that you didn't know was there, that I didn't know was there, that you don't want.
Yeah, I'd like to cut it out and get rid of it. He's an asshole. I mean, I'm an asshole, but I'm a fun asshole. He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe instead of fighting who he is, you should work on figuring out why he is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what we're
and
working off my therapist.
and accepting him so that you can control him.
That's exactly what we're doing in my therapy.
Yeah.
And understanding his purpose. Your mind, it sounds like your mind feels like there's a reason for his existence. You know, what is it that you can do on the daily to negate the need for that to come forth? It sounds like for the subject we're talking about.
I mean, a lot of cases that you hear about, it's usually a protector that pops up.
Yep.
I mean, hell, you want one of the greatest disassociation or DID movies of all time? Fight Club.
Fight Club. Yep. Yeah, I almost made like 3 Tyler Durden references. You know,
Tyler Durden was his protector.
Yep.
You know,
Outlived his usefulness, but he was definitely the protector.
there's a show on HBO, and one of the characters in it has DID, and there are several alters, and they all serve a different purpose. And Doom Patrol. So if you like action and superheroes, plus a little, you can learn a little bit about something you didn't know a lot about.
I might check that out.
Yeah,
I'm more of the really dark superhero things, like The Boys.
Oh, The Boys is awesome, but let me say, in Doom Patrol, Brendan Fraser is amazing.
Oh, it's Brendan Fraser. I'm in.
Seriously.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was him until like way into it, and I looked something up, and I was like, oh. I was going to say the guy was talking about who had 17 altars. Each one was protective, and it was protective from a specific type of subject. It was very compartmentalized. Possible violence, emotional hurt, scared of something specific, dealing with an one abusive parent versus her other parent who was abusive in different ways. It would switch around. But with you, it sounds like, especially if you say that it's basically the asshole that comes out. It almost sounds like when enough is enough, and you're tired of turning the cheek, it comes out a little bit.
He pops up even when things are going semi-okay. And what were you going to say, Vanya?
I was telling you to look at me because you had that look on your face.
Yeah, I was listening. And yeah, thank you. No, it's scary to know that you're not in full control. That's where I'm at. I've never hurt anybody physically in these episodes, which is, thank God for that. Because I have little ones. If I were to physically hurt anybody or anything due to this, I'd want myself away from everybody in my life. I'd want to be completely separated. No animals, no pets, no people. Stay away from me.
That's not who he is.
No.
I've experienced him. That's not who he is. He's more of a no boundaries kind of guy. He's a no boundaries insensitive asshole, but he's not violent. He's not mean. He's sensitive. He doesn't care. He has no boundaries, but he's not violent or mean. I don't know if that's making any sense at all, but
it does.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds like a lack of empathy, because you're a really empathetic person normally. You take into consider Yeah. Well, I got a couple of those, and I know how that goes. Um, yeah, but it sounds like a little bit of where you are really conscious, normally really conscious of how somebody feels or may perceive, especially if you care about them and their feelings.
Yeah.
Um, you're
It,
just going to get out whatever you feel like you need to get out, and it is what it is, which is rough. How does this affect you? So we've heard a little bit about how it's impacted you at work a while ago, and how the episode started when you were younger. How do you see this impacting your life today? And does it impact your life differently today, knowing it's something you have versus when you didn't and you just felt like everybody was gaslighting you?
at least by knowing about it today, when an episode pops up, I don't I don't take that initial reaction of I'm being gaslit, which just pisses me off, which will cause another fight in and of itself.
For sure.
That we don't have to have that come up. It's still, now people that know me well and know that this happens, it's easier to work through. It still sucks because at the end of the day, I did these things.
Yeah.
And I want to own them and I want to make them right. Even though I have no recollection of having done it, and it kind of feels unjust. It feels like I'm being punished for what somebody else did. It's kind of like, if you have a sibling and your sibling breaks the lamp, nobody will say who broke the lamp definitively, so everyone gets punished. It kind of feels like that.
It was that.
What was that?
It sounds like.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Vanya.
The not when somebody breaks a lamp or somebody does something, you don't want to admit it. The parents say, "Who did that?" And everybody says, "Not me." It was the not me kid. And one day I'm going to find that kid and I'm going to kick his fucking ass.
Yeah. It's when you have two kids, you actually have three, not me being that third one.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like your experiences. I think a lot of people who are listening could empathize a little bit. Those of us who are drinkers, I've drank many times. Well, just about every time I drink now, I black out, and then Sarah will be like, "Hey, do you know what you did while you were drunk?" And I'm like, I really don't want to know, because I've gotten into bar fights. I'm not typically a violent drunk, but I'm really defensive of my friends. Or
yeah, I could see someone could come up and hit you and be like, "Dude, what the fuck?" But if someone hit your friend, you'd come unglued.
It just happened, yes. And I've had times where I've blacked out, and my ex-wife told me that, "You realize you pissed on the baker's rack in our bedroom last night, thinking it was a bathroom?" I was like, "What?" And
I had an uncle who wound up going. I was at one uncle's. Okay, my dad's side of the family. My dad has 5 brothers and 4 sisters. So at one uncle's house, a different uncle woke up drunk, opened up the refrigerator, and pissed in it as if it was a urinal. I sat there and watched the whole thing like, what the fuck is going on here?
Wow.
Yeah.
And my mom would tell stories about my dad when he was drinking and how he would black out and wake up 3 states away.
I've only been blackout drunk twice, and I was told that it was just a lot of fun.
Apparently, life of the party when he was blackout drunk.
That's what I hear about myself, but it's always embarrassing stories. Like one birthday, I had a good friend sitting on my lap, and I cried for an hour and a half about how lucky I was to have her as a friend and how much I loved her. It not in a total platonic way, but yeah, like it's.
You know what? That's a sweet story. Okay, it is. I'm laughing, but because I can understand how embarrassing that could be, but it's still sweet. Sure.
But I had no idea, and now it's when Sarah said, like, if we have a get together, because I don't drink heavily very often anymore. But she'll be like, "Do you know what you did last night?" And I'll immediately dread and regret. Won't even know. It'll be dread and regret. Like I honestly don't want to know. Don't tell me.
This is why I don't drink.
Yeah.
There's probably about a decade of my life that I don't have memories of. Just they're gone. There's like a few scattered ones here and there. Most of them are traumatic. But I've been that drunk one time, and I remember not remembering. I don't like that. That's why I don't drink. Like, no.
So I used to think that the whole blackout drunk thing was bullshit. And it wasn't until I was almost 30 that I went to a New Year's Eve party at a bar. Ironically, the bar that's about a block from my house now. But this is when I lived further away from it. And we went through a few pitchers of beer and then went to the KJ's. For people who don't know what a KJ is, karaoke jockey. Went to the KJ's house for an after party. I remember pouring my first Seagrams, 7 and 7. I don't remember anything after walking out of the kitchen. But apparently I had another one. My first memory was in the passenger seat of my car. My girlfriend that Ivania hates with a bloody passion, almost as much as I hate. I don't know who hates her more, honestly. Yeah, you can see the look on her face if for Austin Bexy. Yeah. And I remember I felt like I was going to throw up. We were on the freeway. And I was like, okay, well, we can't pull over on the freeway. I was like, hey, there's that Starbucks about 2 blocks from my home. Can you just drop me off there? So I'll just stagger towards the apartment. And if I get sick, well, I'm staggering around outside. I can just puke. Don't worry about it. She said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
She left you?
What?
She left you. That drunk.
No. I recommended it. She said it was a good idea. But the next memory is me puking in the bushes of the downstairs of my apartment. With my very next memory being waking up in my bed with only my shirt and my backside hanging off the bed. She did not drop me off because there were 6 cop cars sitting at that Starbucks. And she's like, yeah, I'm not dropping you off drunk in public in front of all these cops.
At least she did something right.
That'd be a poor life decision for sure.
Yeah.
She was a poor life decision.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Those two.
I don't know if it was my poor life decision or her parents' poor life decision. And I don't usually talk that bad about people. But this one is pretty bad. Yeah, like Ivania got to see the absolute worst of me. She brought it out.
I'm telling you, listeners, the look on Ivania's face was one of pure malice and hatred. That was made evidently clear. It's like, this person was no good.
Yeah, 0 to 10 wouldn't recommend.
0's not low enough.
So with disassociation, what do you feel is important for people to understand about it? So think of it this way: you meet somebody new, and you want you want them to understand you. What do you feel it's important for them to know about it in your circumstance, to kind of to be able to better empathize with you and maybe even preserve the friendship?
Well, I mean, first, it's a big ask to accept it because there's a lot of people out there that will think, oh, it's just you're just making it up. That's the hardest thing to get over, to be honest.
Yeah.
Really, I think that I'd want to communicate to them that only when I'm in the most stressed out situations where my insomnia is kicking my ass on top of it, that I am likely to become the biggest asshole version of me imaginable, thanks to the way that Ivania explained it. I think that's one of the best ways to put it. It's an unfiltered, uncaring asshole me that will come out, and I won't remember what I say or do. It's very
So what would
unlikely
be
that I will.
so we've known each other for a while, and I don't think I've witnessed it myself. So it sounds like the
Have
best
I
thing
have I
I
ever
could do
decided
for
to
us.
smash down barriers?
No,
Ignore barriers, have no filter. Because if you see that, that's a good sign that I may be going there.
yeah, I don't think there's much of a filter in our conversations, though. But
I mean, obviously, there are certain things that we're not going to say.
oh, for sure, for sure. But I guess what I'm saying is, if I were to witness it myself or see you become explosive towards me unexpectedly,
I don't think I'd
is
be
a bet.
explosive, Ivania. Do I get explosive? I think I'd get more vindictive, just based on my own core. If it's based off of my core personality, and it's like the magnification of the worst parts, I think vindictiveness would be the bigger part of it, and maybe even manipulative.
So is
It's
it best to just
hurtful.
disengage?
Yes. When he's done it to me, I've just told him, you know what, we'll talk later, and I'll hang up on him. But it's more like, let's say you're going through a divorce. Okay. It's a very painful divorce. You and your spouse both did things wrong. You've confided in him over the past several months, the things that you did wrong, the things that she did wrong. This is all hypothetical. So you call him up one day and you're like, hey, I'm having a really bad day. I just found out that she's dating somebody. And he were to turn around and say, well, maybe if you did better and you didn't do this, 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 and this, you'd still have the love of your life. It's that
Wow.
the hurtfulness that comes out when he's in those episodes.
Well, thank you for putting in more perspective for me. Holy shit. I would never. In my right mind, I would never.
I know. Yeah. And in that specific example is not something you did to me. I'm just, when I was going through mine.
You're just putting this is the level of what comes out.
Yeah. But there have been episodes where you're in a short one, you're in something like that, and you're being that guy, and I just hang up. I'm like, you know what? I'll talk to you later.
I cannot put into words how much I appreciate you. Seriously.
Well,
I don't know if I would put up with that if I to myself. I would be like, nope, you're out of my life. And you're still here. Holy shit, thank you.
With understanding comes acceptance, right? You may not like what the truth of it is, but you can accept it if you understand it. And I think understanding that you disassociate and realizing and being cognizant enough, to realize that, I'm talking to somebody who's disassociating right now, and disengaging is like best case scenario. Worst case scenario, shit spirals real quick. But I like something that I've told Sarah quite a bit is, if we can't handle people at their worst, we don't deserve them at their best. Like, I think everybody's heard that.
But I mean,
you gotta accept a person for all their parts. But I think part of friendship is helping each other grow, right? And so it's not just to be healthy about it. It's not just, oh, he's disassociating, he gets a pass. It'd be a conversation that needs to take place later, just to prevent the unseen fractures that could happen in that friendship. And it may not be it probably won't be an easy conversation. However, if you brought it up and he's like, I don't remember saying that, I'm sorry. You're like, okay, I don't have to take it personally. I mean, that's what it was.
Quite honestly, when I'm told that I've done or said these things, remember how red I was? I probably get that red, or I turn ghost white because I am mortified by what I hear. Like, I am absolutely mortified by what I hear. Like, I mean, I'm more sensitive than I lead on sometimes, and I don't know if people catch it or not. I don't know how good I am at putting that out there. But when I hear these things, it rips me to shreds. Makes me just want to curl up in a ball and sob. Like if I had someone come to me talking about a friend that has said and done the things that I have said and done, my advice to them was to stop being friends with them. My advice would be to Ivania is to don't be my friend. And the fact that she still is, I mean...
Look
Sarah
at me.
said,
It's an absolute blessing.
I'm still here.
I know.
I tried to go. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere.
You've tried to go. You really have.
I really tried.
you know, it's the friendship can be complex, but you're worth it. You know, Sarah said it would give him an opportunity to say how he actually feels and replace that memory of what he said. You know, while
And I don't think it would
disassociated.
replace. I don't think it would replace it, but it may take
Set-
some of the
set it-
sting out of it.
Yeah, say it to set the record straight for how you really feel. You know,
I think it'd be more like, snake bite. The venom may have been extracted, but the bite still happened.
yeah. You know, this is obviously hard to share, and I appreciate you sharing it, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are learning from it, and it may shed some light on some of the experiences that they've been through. People acting completely out of character and having a history of it. Um, you know, it could spark conversations about, hey, this is something you might want to think about.
If it can save one friendship, it's worth this to share. If it can bring peace of mind to one person that's dealing with it, or someone that someone who has a loved one that's dealing with it. Yeah, this is hard to share.
But you've had a goal of helping people. It's what you're doing. This is the rawest version of yourself. And you're putting yourself out there. And this is what bravery looks like. Nobody likes to put themselves, out in the world and admit the things that they feel shameful about, or the things that they dislike the most about themselves. You're doing it, and I think it's really brave what you're doing right now.
Thank you. It's like, my suicide attempt, I could talk about that at the drop of a hat. That essay I wrote, I could read that just about any time. But talking about this one scares me. This one scares the shit out of me.
Because you don't like hurting people. It's not who you fundamentally are. And to hear that you could be hurting people when you've pretty much made it your life's goal to help people, it's the antithesis of what you put out, what you consciously put out into the world. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's like if you spend your whole life rescuing puppies and then you find out that when you blank out, you're drowning them in rivers. It's horrifying.
Well, there's that, and there's the fact that the essay that you wrote, your suicide attempt, many of the things that you've struggled with through your life, you've had some level of control of it. This, you don't have any control. You don't know when it's coming. You don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. You don't know what you're going to do, and you're not going to remember it. Not having control over your own mind, your own body, is terrifying. That is a completely justified feeling. But the fact that you're working on it, and the fact that you're making this effort now to get to know who that person is when that person comes out, your next step is going to be to accept that person, so that it quits taking over, and then you can start to control it. So it's not a completely lost cause.
No.
And it's big that you're working on it. It's huge.
I can't say I shy away from much. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Seriously, I would not wish someone... It's like you have a spell cast on you, and someone's controlling you. You're basically a puppet on strings.
Dude,
I can't remember any of it.
Pee.
What was that?
I get pissed off when I have to go pee. Like, I'll be standing there and I'll be like, God, I have to pee. Or when I sneeze. Like, I get mad, legitimately angry when my body does something that I have no control over. This, which you go through on a semi-regular basis, I would say, oh, no.
Exactly.
Like, you're allowed to be scared. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed, but at least you know what it is now.
Took years to get there.
Yeah.
Took over a decade.
And the difference is I can't stop myself from peeing or sneezing. in some control of.
My God, if you ever disassociated like I did, you would probably absolutely lose your shit.
I would probably be violent.
So Sarah says, I haven't known you long, but I've never seen anything but kindness and compassion from you. Hopefully you'll take in what everyone is saying, that we see who you are and know and accept that what happens during those times is not you, and we still care. We all love you, and we accept you for who you are, man. And it's a battle you're going through, and you got a tribe behind you. You don't got to battle it alone.
Thank you.
You're a ride or die, baby.
Thank you.
Sarah also said she would beat up people outside public restrooms and tissue aisles.
Tissue aisles?
And nobody get in the way of the Charmin.
Hey, that Ultra Soft's worth stabbing someone over.
Yeah, Sarah gets upset when she runs out of her. I use Scott, because I like wipe my ass with sandpaper for some reason. I grew up cheap.
I grew up
My
cheap.
When there's only Scott left in the bathroom, yeah.
I like the
a good time.
You hate your butthole. Oh my god!
I tried Charmin Ultra Soft once, and there's only two other things I'll use otherwise, which is the Charmin A Touch of Aloe or the wet wipes. I will not use anything below that. I refuse to use public restrooms unless I happen to have my own toilet paper with me. Not even kidding.
I used to be like that. And then
Sarah just said it makes me rage pee.
Yeah.
Oh God. Talk about an emotional roller coaster I'm going on over here.
Just get so much more out of 1,000 roll. That 1,000 sheet roll of Scots.
You really don't know. It's one ply. It's freaking sandpaper. Well, you only got one thing to worry about down there, so I guess it's not that big of a deal for you.
Yeah.
And wait till really. If you don't have hemorrhoids yet, you're gonna really hate it when you do.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, because then you know that joke that was from I think Parks and Rec about it's like there's a brown marker down there. I just keep wiping and wiping and wiping, and it's there. Yeah, well, when you have a hemorrhoid, it's a red marker. Okay, it's not fun.
Who's the shock jock? I can't remember his name.
Howard
Stern is talking about if he has to wipe more than 4 times, he just gets in the shower.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
There is a female that is very close to me, and I will not say how close. I won't say how I know this person, but this female is, I don't know, 6-7 years older than me, and she got her very first hemorrhoid, and she didn't know what was going on. She called me. She's talking to me. She's telling me about it, and I'm like, okay, dude, you have a hemorrhoid. And she's like, it's bleeding and it hurts and it itches.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, you have a hemorrhoid. So she called me up, I don't know, about 3-4 hours later, crying. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And she said, I had to leave work because of this hemorrhoid. And I was like, oh my God, how bad is it? You might need to go to the doctor. She goes, it's not that. My thong keeps rubbing on it. I said, why would you wear a thong with that?
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
Talk about a glutton for punishment.
I think I broke Betsy.
She's dying. She's laughing so hard right now. Okay, so since we're in hemorrhoids now, just so everybody knows, 50% of the American population will have a hemorrhoid before they're 50 years old. Yeah.
I still broke Betsy.
I just turned 46, and yeah, I have a hemorrhoid. It sucks. I got that eating yellow curry. Yeah, Evania's face says it all.
You've broken me, but nobody has E's record of making me shoot things out my nose, so.
Sarah says, holy itchy holes, bet.
So Preparation H makes an aerosol spray, and it is a godsend. Because you're not actually having to touch it. You can just spray it, and it's, oh my God, it's so awesome. Holy itchy holes, Batman. Yeah, you know what? I'll just say this. It gives you a whole new definition of roid rage.
Oh my God. This conversation turned foul.
Buttholes are funny.
Yeah, it's like there's that whole thing about diminishing returns in humor, except when it comes to bodily fluids and buttholes. There's just no such thing as a diminishing returns. Definitely, guys, thank you for being here for this. It's been a rough one. Yeah. You guys also, the things that you guys said, like Evania said, Bexy said, you've said, Sarah has said, really, really hits home. It really tells me why, other than just my own emotional well-being, why it's important for me to work through this. Because, yeah, I mean, I don't ever want to hurt anyone. I only want to help. And for me to lash out and hurt people in such an insensitive way is just, like, what the fuck? It's like I might as well just have shot myself in the foot. But with the disassociation, I'd be like, who shot me in the foot? Why am I bleeding so much? And who put the gun in my hands?
Were you actually brought upon, sir?
With disassociation, are there any steps that you can take in your day-to-day life to help prevent it from happening?
From what I can tell, for me, is to try to really keep my stress in check and largely also get a good amount of sleep. Not allowing myself to get too depressed as well. Like when I'm really depressed, when I'm starting to get suicidal, when my anxiety's through the roof, when I'm not sleeping, that seems to be when it happens the most. So at least there's that. And some people, they could feel themselves disassociating, but I think it's more of that desensitization, like where they detach from their body, like they're an observer of themselves, like a third person thing. Like, there are events happening, but they're not a part of it. Like I said, I get that sometimes. That's usually when I could see myself doing something that I don't want me to do or say, but I just got that, you know what, motherfucker, and go with it.
Yeah.
But
I've
this,
known that.
huh?
I said I've known that one too.
Yeah. And it's usually almost immediately afterwards, I'm just like, what the fuck, to myself.
Yeah.
I may take a strong stance for a little bit because I'm wounded and hurt from it, but at least I can own up to it pretty quickly. Those ones I'm aware of, but this other one, man, it could be a full day or more. It could be a couple days, and I have no control, no recollection.
Is there
also nothing to say that during those times where you've been disassociated for a day, a couple days, a week, there's nothing to say that you're being an asshole that entire time. You need to keep that in mind too.
Good.
You could just be functioning and going through life during those extended periods of time and not doing anything out of character. There are incidents where you were completely out of character, but there's nothing to say that there's these stretches of times where you're anybody different.
I mean, I know I still go to work. I know I still do
Yeah.
my job.
Yeah, there's
Good luck
like,
asking me what cases I worked on that day. I won't fucking remember.
yeah. But I mean, that's my entire point is there are instances of you being this very blunt, insensitive, no boundaries, lacking of empathy kind of guy. But those are isolated incidences. I feel like if it was happening every moment that you were disassociated, you would have a lot more stories to tell.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And a lot more times being fired but not knowing why. Which
Right.
has never happened.
Yeah.
Well, I know why I've been fired every time. I know why every job of mine has ended. I'm fully aware.
Yeah. So, I mean, you might want to take that and put it into your thought process, and maybe that'll make it not so scary, because that could just be your brain shutting down to protect you from whatever's going on in your world right now, to protect you from those very intense feelings, to protect you from that anxiety, to protect you from just to protect you. And yeah, you have the instances of this other person that comes bubbling up, or this other piece. I'm not going to say this other person because it's not like you have split personalities, but this other
Right.
piece of your personality that you've suppressed. And let's face it, we all have that piece of our personality. We all think the things that have no boundaries. We all think the things that are insensitive.
Well, that's why we have boundaries, is to be like, yeah, let's not say that.
Yeah. But in those instances, you just don't have them. But that doesn't mean that you're that person the entire time you're disassociated.
Which is good to know.
It's like your brain's giving you a mini vacation from stress.
By repelling everyone away from me. I can see the logic in that.
Maybe.
Don't like it, but I can see the logic in it.
Yeah, you could be the normal guy. You could be having fun with your people. You could be working and just going about your daily routine. It doesn't necessarily mean you're pushing everybody away or you're being a jerk. You could just be you.
I wonder if in the instances when that no holds barred, no boundary guy comes out, is it be when he does, show up and everything, and they're obviously, as Ivania has said, isolated incidents for short periods of time. I wonder if there's something that while you're disassociated and you're acting like you, there's something that triggers a like a trauma inside that makes that pop up, and maybe you don't even realize what it is, or what's going on with it, but there could be something in just like in your brain, like that primal lizard brain thinks must protect from this, so up pops Mr. Jackass, we'll call him.
Dr. Jackass and Mr. Hyde. I don't know. No, I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part, because, I mean, I'm just, like that one instance I told you about with Dave. I was going about my day, doing my job, and I just turned around and fucking lied to him. There was no reason for me to say I already took care of it. Like, none. Like, that one's kind of sticks out as unusual for me, because what was I protecting from? Why did that pop up? And why was that that was such a dick move. And not even necessarily to him, but to the customer as well, that needs this done.
I still stick by you were thinking about something else. You were in a
Likely.
different mind.
Likely. There were a lot of times I'd be reviewing a case, go through case notes, and the mind just kind of like, get to the end of the line, the mind just keeps going to the right, 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 to the right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to turn this around and make this episode about me.
Bring up examples, please.
But no. This isn't even about you. Like I said, the first 10 or so years of my life, I don't remember. They're just not there. I don't have a solid core of memories until I'm about 12 years old. But talking to my family, talking to my friends, like my mom, my cousins, my nieces and nephews, my siblings, I am no different personality wise today, because you have your core personality when you're little. So I'm no different today than I was during that time that I don't remember. So, I mean, clearly it's disassociation. I don't have those memories. And it's for a decade or more of my life.
And that's just terrifying.
No, I don't want those memories back. But that's why I'm saying, when you're disassociated for an extended period of time, you are probably still there.
Just not remembering it.
Right.
Bexy or Us, have you guys had any episodes of disassociation? Yeah, it doesn't have to be this type of disassociation. It doesn't have to be the amnesia. There's the other ones as well. Like when you're an observer to your own life.
I can't say that I have. The only thing is blacking out while drinking.
Which is a pretty close parallel to disassociation, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
although alcohol brings
more
out
than
a
my
different
fair share of times.
Alcohol brings out a different personality too in a lot of people. My kids get all up in their feels. My adult kids.
Oh, I do. I do that. I'm a happy drunk. Life of the party, making everybody laugh type of thing. And there's no.
My adult kids apparently the "I love you so much" weeper drunks.
Yeah. I just told my story about that.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Oh, and while I did that, I had a birthday girl crown on, or sash and crown, and somebody handed me a birthday girl wand. I don't remember them putting any of that on me while I was having it. And then as I was talking, I super talk with my hands while I'm drunk. So I'm waving this wand around like I'm casting spells.
Now, what I would pay to see Us as a pretty, pretty princess.
Oh, there's pictures on my Facebook.
I'm going to find them. Well, of course, for me, I wouldn't even have to be drunk. I'd do it just because it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Friend request sent.
Hey, we're still not even friends on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she says.
Yeah, well,
No.
there's still good reason behind it for when it happened. I think at this point it's just that we forgot. It's like every once in a while I'm like, oh yeah, we're not friends on Facebook. I'll talk about it later. I'm in jail most of the time anyway, so
Right?
I get out of Facebook jail on February 15th.
I'm so seldomly on Facebook.
Yeah, I have like 40 or 50 notifications right now for my birthday yesterday, and I can't respond to any of them. I'm like, okay.
Belated happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't even realize it. See, if I was on Facebook, I'd probably know it was your birthday.
Yeah, we are friends.
And I'm like, oh shit, it's your birthday? I'm sorry, dude. I suck.
Yeah, but I'm like, there's a reason I forgot your birthday because we're not on Facebook as friends, and yeah, I kind of count on that because my memory is shit when it comes to birthdays.
If you go on my Facebook, Sarah actually brought up in chat from the first time we met each other. She photoshopped me in a tutu. That's on there as well. And I have, which isn't photoshopped. I used to have gauges, and I had glow stick bracelets in my gauges. So that and a matching tutu. Yeah.
I don't think it's on my Facebook anymore. It was, but I think it got taken down. There was a picture that we pulled off of our Xbox Connect from where I was playing one of the games, and in this game you have to like make your avatar jump and the camera tracks you and everything. Well, I jumped with no bra on and had boobs out to here. That picture was on Facebook for a while.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm kind of wiped now. So yeah, I mean,
Is there, before we close things down, is there any last thoughts you have on what you think people should know about disassociation? Maybe not just for you, but to help strengthen the friendships that they have with those who disassociate, or those people who may have gone through things where they feel like they're being gaslit by everybody around them, but they're not usually the kind of people you've seen gaslight anybody else. So there might be something to it.
I was going to say for people, for like people in my situation, when the people are telling you that you did something and there is no clear benefit to what they're saying, and they're all universal with the same details, listen, a lie, it's almost impossible for a group of people to be able to share the same lie with the same details. It's almost impossible. Because, I mean, if anyone knows anything about an effective lie, you give just enough. And try not to embellish. Keep it vague. And if they're giving you specific details, and there's other people that you talk to later, and they give the same exact details, listen to them. You may have something going on. It's hard to accept. It is really, really fucking hard to accept that you may not be in control of yourself. I mean, that's one of the scariest things out there that I could think of. And I mean, yeah. And for those of you that have someone in your life where they seem to like flip a switch, whether they become an asshole or whether they become, maybe they become really promiscuous, or maybe they become a extreme pushover. Like there's just something different. And they absolutely don't remember it. And it seems to happen occasionally, frequently enough that it's kind of alarming. Don't take it personally. At least from my perspective, it's not who they are. Whatever it is that they're doing, it's not who they are. You know them better than that. You should know them better than that. Try to have that conversation with them, but come at it gently. Don't come at it accusatorily. Don't come in at it aggressively. Don't come at it getting offended when they get defensive. I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you get defensive if someone came to you and said, hey, you did this thing that's totally out of character? What the hell?
That you don't remember doing.
Yeah.
Or you feel, to the depths of your soul, you didn't do it.
Yeah, like, why in the hell did you kick that puppy yesterday? What the fuck? I would never kick a dog. I love dogs, especially puppies. Puppies they're amazing.
Yep.
It's be gentle. Both sides, be gentle. Seriously. Because it's really hard to get it through to someone who has a disassociation issue and they're not aware of it, that they have that issue. It's even harder if you try to do it brute force or if you get all emotional over it. And for those people that, if your friend comes to you and tells you that they have this issue, maybe talk to their friends, find out if it's legit. Because there are assholes out there that will fake it. Go on TikTok. You'll see hundreds of people faking disassociation, and it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. But, seriously, talk to their closest friends. Talk to their family.
Gently suggest that they speak to a professional.
Absolutely. Find out if they're seeing a therapist. And if they are, ask them to bring it up to their therapist. I know that I'm very receptive to that. If someone goes, hey, have you ever talked to your therapist about X, Y, or Z? That I may have never thought to bring it up before. Or something that I may not be aware of. I'd be like, well, give me more information. What is it that I need to tell this therapist? What am I doing? Holy shit, that's terrifying. Yeah, let me go talk to my therapist. That's the best I could give. And of course, everybody's different. So, each situation is going to be different on how you handle it. Ivania, you being the closest one to this, out of this group, what would you advise?
Patience, understanding, grace. If you have someone that you're close to, someone that someone that you care about, and they're suddenly just completely out of character, you have to remove yourself from the situation, from your immediate feels, and say, okay, what's happening? Why is this person doing this? This is out of character. What's going on in this person's life? I can say the times that I've experienced it with you were going through, like, I didn't know that it was dissociative disorder at the time.
Right.
But I knew that you were going through a very bad spot in your life, which is why I am still here, because I was able to take a step back and say, okay, he's in one of his moods. I'm going to stop where we are now, and we'll follow up later. We'll pick this up again later. So that would be my advice, is even if you don't know that it's dissociative disorder, or they've never said to you this is dissociative disorder, because they don't know that's what it is. Dig down deep, get out of your feels, know who that person is, know why you love that person for whatever reason or whatever kind of love it is, and look for something deeper and have the conversation with them later.
And I will say, from my perspective, don't be too shocked if you go to talk to them the next day or a few days later, and they're like, because I've had this conversation with Ivania where the words out of my mouth were, "What? I don't remember talking to you yesterday."
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a big sign. Blocks of time missing, but for unexplainable reason, unexplainably blocks of time missing. They weren't drinking, they weren't using any other self-medication things. And it's different than somebody just having a bad memory. Usually, even when people have a bad memory, you bring up something, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that," and there's some sort of recall. There's zero recall, and it's a reoccurring event.
Yeah.
It might be a clue.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that my divorce was a really traumatizing event. Trauma can cause disassociation. There we go for me.
It's a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah. Someone who's been in an abusive relationship, they may have disassociated through it, and that may follow them. Again, that disassociation, there's a purpose behind why you do it. There's a reason that it's there. And even though what's originally helped to trigger and to cause it to develop may not be there, if you haven't addressed it, like me trying to work through it, it can just pop up at the randomest fucking times.
The reason I asked you earlier if you wanted those memories back is because they're there. They're locked away, but they're there.
Yeah.
Case in point, about a week ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she got herself an electric ice cream maker from Walmart, and she was so excited to start making homemade ice cream. And she was talking about, she couldn't wait for her husband's kids to come over so that they could start making specialty ice creams in their own flavors. And that unlocked a memory from that time when I don't have any other memories. It just popped into my head and I remembered it very vividly. So if you want those memories back, don't give up hope because they're there. They're just locked away, and it's going to take something either big or something really little like that to kick them through. And when it came back for me, it was real. It's not like, oh, it's this fuzzy little, this might have happened. I was there. I remembered it just like any other memory. So if you're working through this and then you're going to, they're there. And if they come back, I don't know if you're going to be able to put them in these neat little buckets of
Right.
This was associated, this wasn't. Because like I said, for those extended periods of time, you could have just been being you. But
Right.
they're in there.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I'd rather have him back. Ultimately. Because then I don't have those mysterious blank spots anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know that I'm not in the movie Butterfly Effect.
Or Shutter Island.
Yeah. Oh, and for those that have watched Butterfly Effect, I'm sorry, but the director's cut was the better one. More fucked up, but it was better. And if you've watched both of them, you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. And Richard just said, there's a TikTok trend of TikTokers going to therapy and telling their therapist they think they're autistic. It happens so much that therapists are getting a little upset because so many patients are saying it off the bat. Yeah. Honestly, if there was a conflict between us and China, I think the one thing that I would not miss would be TikTok. When it goes, but oh well. Sorry to those who love their TikTok. I love some of the videos, but seriously, bye.
I spend more time on TikTok than any other social.
And if it went bye,
never posted anything. I would have so much of my life back. It'd be such a benefit. To the point where if I feel like I'm not being productive enough, I will go and remove all social media from my phone. And actually just removing TikTok, I'd probably get at least an hour of my life back every day. But it's how I slowly wake up in the morning.
TikTok nearly ruined my relationship. It drove me so crazy. Because you know how they do their little things to like tiny little clips of music, like 30-second clips of music. They're doing a dance or they're doing whatever. my significant other would sit there on TikTok and scroll with his phone on full blast. And it would be like the first 30 seconds of the song on repeat, but different people apparently.
Oh,
And
that would drive me nuts.
my OCD, I have to hear the entire effing song. So hearing like a 30-second clip on repeat for an hour, I wanted to murder the man. And like I said, bit of disorder, I would be violent because I think about these things. But it finally got to the point to where I told him, you have to wear headphones if you're scrolling through TikTok because it is really driving me crazy. I can't. It like puts me into this super anxious, unfinished feeling. So I never even downloaded the damn app. I was like, no, I hate it that much because of how much he would scroll through it.
So it was like an earworm on steroids.
Yes, it was bad. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I like it before I take my ADD meds in the morning because I get things in bite sizes. So like TikTok hacks, DIY stuff, photography hacks.
Anything. But I mean, you're using it for good things. You're not looking at the stupid trends.
Yeah, not so much about the trends. I do look a lot like fails or scare videos. I can watch 30-second videos of people scaring the crap out of each other for hours, and I just sit there and giggle nonstop.
You and me both.
I will say this: I did buy the TikTok leggings.
The what?
The TikTok leggings that were a trend like last year.
I have some.
And like I would see like these clips of a girl walking by wearing these leggings and their men would fall all over themselves trying to get after. False advertising, by the way. False. But they are the most comfortable leggings I've ever owned. So I continue to wear them.
I did mock one trend when I came on. It was the TikTok kick was the big thing, where people would walk up and you'd see their foot kick open their bathroom door. Then they'd put their foot up on the counter and like share a message to the mirror and then like, peace out kind of thing. What I did was, okay, so the trend now is a TikTok kick, and I kicked the door, Then you put your foot up and then I fell back and I dropped the phone and went, oh shit! And let the phone just fall. Make it look like I fell.
That sounds like it's made to go viral.
It did.
Yeah, I've never posted anything on it.
Going viral is overrated, just saying.
Ivanya's gone viral. It was, yeah. It's why she actually had to close out one of her longtime Facebook account and start a new one with a different name.
Ivania.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because the video is amazing, but the hate was unreal.
Yeah, it was, and it was just good. Like it showed what a good heart my child had, and it was just what am I trying to say? How do I put the bravery behind anonymity was just outlandish.
Yeah.
It's like, it was ridiculous.
It's like, I may troll a video in the comments, but I try to make it lighthearted and humorous. There were people there, they weren't even trolling. They were just downright vicious.
Oh, they were scary.
You get the worst of people online, for sure.
I had one message me and tell me the road I was driving down. Like, they could trace me back to my house almost, based on the video. They studied it that hard. Like, it was scary.
Yeah, there were people that were legit, like, pissed, like, wanted to get at Ivania because she posted a video that her daughter asked to have posted of herself. And people were like, well, you were driving unsafe. It's like, you had the athletic strap on your arm, and that's where the phone was, and you just happened to be good with your aim.
The way that the camera moved, that, like, it was just sitting here on my arm. Like, I wasn't... So okay, we're getting into it now. My daughter had a wisdom tooth video.
Should I go ahead and drop it in the Discord while you're doing this?
I don't care. She had a post wisdom tooth video. She rode the emotional roller coaster. I mean, she was up and she was down and she was crying and she was laughing. She was yelling at me.
And you put her in check too when she yelled at you. Don't you yell at me?
Stop yelling at me. It's a 2-minute video that was cut from like a 20-minute video because it was just freaking hysterical. But
yeah, that 2 minutes is like weapons grade comedy. It is so funny.
But the orthodontist had given her ice cream when they left. And at one point she says to me, I thought we were going to go get ice cream. And I told her, we got ice cream. The dentist gave you ice cream. It's sitting right next to you. And it was Moose Tracks ice cream. And she was like, oh, there it is. Let me read it. And she's like, this is Denali moose. Oh my God, they killed a moose and they want me to eat it. And she had a complete meltdown about this. And she wanted to give it back. And I was like, why would we give it back? And she's like, because it has a mom. So upset. And it was just a very sweet, like, showed how heart that she had.
Yeah, it really does. It shows. I mean, she has a great heart. Also, she was crying that she can't kiss her boyfriend anymore because they cut off her lips. That's how it started.
God. But the messages that I got,
it was so uncalled for.
People told me that I was marginalizing my child, that she was faking it, that people told me they hoped I got into a car wreck and killed my entire family. People told me that they were going to hunt me down, murder me, and rape my bloody corpse.
Yeah, it was horrific.
Of this video, it was so bad that I shut down my Facebook. I sold the video to Jukin Media. I sold the media rights to Jukin Media so that they could take care of it from there on out. And I created an entirely new Facebook that had no connection to my real name. So it was bad, really bad.
Yeah.
So like I said, going viral is overrated.
Yeah.
And it is up on the Discord under Anything Goes. For anyone that wants to see it. It is a great video. I mean, it really, really is. It just shows how much people suck.
For those of you who are listening who are new to MI Mental, you can go to mimental.net.
Yeah, we're still having problems with the security certificate.
Just click through. It's really us.
It's really us. I need to get hold of. I've been so busy this last week. My wife's about to take a trip to Vegas, and there's a lot of moving parts and everything. Hoping that I could get to our host. Supposedly, it's really easy for them to fix. Like I pointed out to them, they'll be like, "Oh, okay," and within an hour it should be fixed. It's just I need that time.
Yeah. If you can get through to mimental.net, most browsers, there's a little link at the bottom that says visit the site. Anyways, because it says it's not safe. The top right-hand corner of mimental.net, you'll see the Discord icon. It's a invite to our servers. Go ahead and click on it, join, and become part of the MI Mental family, and have some fun conversations, learn some things, teach us some things, and get involved.
Yep, and if you're on mobile, you're not going to see it in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to see the little menu button, pretty much dead center top. Tap on that, and then you'll see the Discord button or icon, and that'll take you there. And I'm looking invite. I'm grabbing the invite right now for this. I'm actually going to drop it into the chat. And let's see here. Generate the link and copy. All right, so this will be in the chat right now. Just dropped it.
So it feels like this is a good time to close.
I think so too. Thanks. Even though the name in the chat is Ed, it's one of my cousins who's a former guest. So thank you, cuz. Love you too. She said that we're the best. Punxsutawney Phil has predicted 6 more weeks of winter, by the way. Have a great one. Yes, and Punxsutawney Dak has predicted 6 more years of no Super Bowl for the Cowboys, so I'm happy about that. Which got a good reaction there on the people. Yeah. Anyway, again, thank you very much. We will be back next week. We only have 2 more weeks left, or 2 episodes left of this season. Then we're going to take a break until probably the second weekend of March, which will kick off our 4th year.
Wow.
We're wrapping up 3 years of Am I Mental? Like, holy shit. And honestly, and it's like, you guys, you listeners, you're the best. You're absolutely the best. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done to help us to keep this going for as long as we have. And here's for years to come. Other than that, I'm E.
I'm Moss.
Bexy, anybody are just like dead silent? All right. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.